Hi, today I'm going to demonstrate the chocolate meringue pie. You're going to learn a couple different things with different techniques that we are doing today. First of all, tempering eggs, and also the meringue topping for the pie. Along with that, we're going to talk about mise en place. And what that means is to have everything together and in place. So when it comes to culinary, you will see that I have everything out in terms of my ingredients and my supplies and my equipment that I need to prepare my chocolate meringue pie today. I also have the prepared pie crust that we'll be using along with the KitchenAid when I am making my meringue. So that is called mise en place, and it's really important to be organized in the kitchen. That will make for an efficient cook. So let's begin. The first thing we need to do is combine the sugar, flour, cocoa, and salt in a medium saucepan. I'm not going to turn the heat on yet, but I'm going to start measuring that out into the saucepan. So we have our sugar. We need 1.5 cups of sugar. Actually, we don't need flour. That's a typo in the recipe. It's not listed in the ingredients, but it's listed in the directions. Cross that out. You do not add flour to this recipe. Then we're going to add our cocoa powder. We need 1/2 cup of cocoa powder. So you will spoon that out of the canister and measure 1/2 cup. Add that to our sugar in our saucepan. And the next ingredient is the salt. Again, salt is used for flavoring as well as the sugar and the cocoa powder, but salt is also used as a preservative. And we need 3/4 of a teaspoon. So I have 1 teaspoon here. I'm going to measure about 3/4 of that out. Sprinkle that in. And before I add any other ingredients, I am going to just whisk those ingredients together. It's really important that you do have a whisk so you can incorporate those ingredients accordingly. Next, I'm going to add my milk and my cornstarch. And I need 2 cups of milk. I'm going to use a liquid measuring cup. Make sure that it is placed on the counter and look at it at eye level so you don't get too much or too little milk. I'm going to add 1 cup at a time. You can use skim milk, 1% milk, fat milk, whatever you prefer, whatever you have at home. And then we are going to add our cornstarch. And what cornstarch does to these ingredients together is it makes it thick, okay? Because cornstarch, as we know, is a thickening agent. So I'm again going to spoon out my cornstarch into my 1/4 measuring cup. What you want to make sure that you don't do is that you don't overheat this chocolate mixture, because if you overheat this, it will gelatinize because of the cornstarch, and that's not what you want. You want it to be thickened like a pudding, and it will set then, but you don't want it to be like a complete gelatinized blob, basically. So I'm going to turn on my heat, and I'm going to start whisking this. And you're going to be cooking this over medium heat, probably for about 5 to 10 minutes or so, especially because the milk was just taken out of the refrigerator, so it is cold. It's going to take some time to heat that milk through. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I don't want to accidentally burn it. We're going to talk about tempering. The reason that we temper eggs is so we prevent those eggs from scrambling when they're added to the hot mixture. So what we do is, once this chocolate is heated, we're going to add a little bit of this chocolate to the eggs, mix it together, add a little bit of more hot chocolate to the eggs, mix that, and then we will eventually add the egg mixture to the entire saucepan of chocolate that we're making here. If we were to just add the eggs by themselves to this boiling hot chocolate mixture, those eggs would scramble. And I personally don't want scrambled eggs in my chocolate meringue pie. Okay, so as that is heating, we are going to talk about what we're going to do with the egg whites. We need 3 egg yolks for this chocolate meringue, or the chocolate pie, but for the meringue, we actually need 3 egg whites. So we'll use 3 egg yolks in this chocolate mixture. The egg whites will actually be used to make the meringue. And we will be using a KitchenAid to mix those egg whites and along with a whisk. And talking about mise en place, I thought I had everything really organized out here, but I do need another liquid measuring cup. So when I separate the egg yolks, I can add the egg yolks to one of the liquid measuring cups. The whites can be added to the mixing bowl, and then eventually I'm going to need this hot mixture, some of it removed, and then I will need another liquid measuring cup for that. Would you like to come over here and whisk this?
No.
If I had an assistant, I would have my assistant whisking this, and I would be separating the eggs. But I have no assistant today. So I'm going to try to do this by turning down the heat a little bit. Okay, we want that to heat. It doesn't need to be thickened like pudding before I add the tempered eggs. So I'm going to remove this from the heat for right now, and I'm going to separate the eggs. I need 3 eggs. So I'm going to separate the whites into the mixing bowl, because that's the bowl I'm going to be using to make the meringue. Add the egg yolks to my liquid measuring cup. Okay. I'm going to wash my hands. Okay, I'm going to put this back on the heat to continue heating my chocolate. And as you can see, it is starting to heat through. We want it to come to just a low boil. I'm just going to whisk these egg yolks. And I'm going to take some of this hot mixture, and as I'm adding it to the eggs, I'm going to whisk the eggs well. You want to make sure those eggs aren't going to scramble. So as you're adding that hot liquid, make sure that you are whisking it well. So this might take 2 of you to do this. Okay, and I can see that the chocolate is incorporated into the egg yolks. I'm then going to add that mixture back into this hot chocolate, and I'm going to continue to cook this until it comes to a full boil and thickens. Okay, once that thickens, we need to remember to add our flavoring, which is going to be our tablespoon of butter and then about 1 to 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Let's see, what else can we talk about? Make sure you're off your phones while you're watching this demonstration. Again, pre-cook your pie crust, because once you add this chocolate filling, this is already cooked. And then you'll add your meringue to the top. That will only need to be baked for a few minutes, and then your pie will be ready to eat. So again, make sure you pre-cook your pie crust. Okay, this is coming to a boil, and it will start splattering. Be careful, it is very hot. Okay, I'm going to take it off the heat, and I'm going to add my vanilla. I'm also going to add my butter. And again, this is for flavoring. There have been times, many times, where I have forgotten to add the vanilla and the butter. It's perfectly fine. You will still get a very good tasting chocolate pie. Okay, and whisk that in really well. So the consistency should be like pudding. And as this sets in your pie crust, it will set up, and you will actually be able to cut into it. This isn't something that you normally eat right away. You usually let it cool completely as a pie, and you would eat it later. So I suggest to you, make sure that when you make your pie crust that you line your pie tin with foil, because you can't take the pie tins out of the classroom, and then you can just remove your pie in that foil. And I'm going to add this to my pie crust over here, and then I will bring it back to show you what that looks like. So this is the chocolate in the pie crust that's pre-baked. When you pre-bake a pie crust, that is actually called blind baking. Anytime you bake a pie crust prior to adding any fillings, it is called blind baking. And then you would add your filling. And you do that with like lemon meringue pie, chocolate meringue pie. Can't think of any other pies that you would do that with, but that is called blind baking. Okay, we're gonna